So I'm Eric. I work at Tricentis. We do testing, in case anyone had any doubts about that. So I am a bit curious for the people here. I'm assuming we're mostly developers, mostly mobile developers here. Show of hands. Are we? Okay, mostly mobile developers. All right. So I'm curious, how many of you have QA teams that do your end-to-end testing for you? Hands? So we have QA. Most of the developers that we talk to, most of the mobile developers do their own unit testing, and they have QA do their end-to-end testing. Is that generally the case for the people here? Yeah, I'm getting some nods. There were some raised hands. Okay. All right, cool. I'm glad we have that established. So essentially, the slides that are not showing, that I can't show you, they are basically centered around a very basic premise. Essentially, with agility, teams are moving faster and faster, getting new features out faster, and testing becomes a bottleneck. QA teams are unable to keep up with end-to-end testing, and therefore a backlog grows, and it becomes, as far as getting features out, it becomes more and more of a backlog. It's a problem that gets worse over time. With automation, most of the mobile developers that we talk to, if they are automating or if their QA teams are automating, are using Appium and for automation, and that can also be quite slow. So we are automating, but we're not really solving the problem. The main challenge is maintenance. As new features are released or as changes to the UI are made, those Appium scripts break and QA gets further and further behind. Is this something that anyone has dealt with, or their QA teams have dealt with? Anyone? Hands? Is this a familiar story? Okay, all right, good. So I'm not crazy here. How are we doing over there, Blake?
It is back.
I don't need the slides. You're not going to learn anything from the slides anyways, right? I hate slides. Okay, so essentially, I don't even know what slides that I'm skipping. I mean, there's a lot of stuff in the slide deck that's very intuitive. It's quite obvious, right? People want their application to move fast. People don't like dealing with bugs, right? So if testing is an issue and if bugs are getting through, people aren't going to use your application, right? This is quite obvious. There's impacts to this, as far as the business. People stop using your application. I don't think any of this is real rocket science, and I don't really know. Oh, hey, there it is. I really don't know why we need slides for this anyways. As I was saying, even with automation using Appium, there are some challenges, and so the solution is modern tools, leveraging AI, of course, who isn't, for testing. So, the modern, suite of tools uses things like record and playback for very simple, quick and easy test generation. And then where the AI comes into play is playing back those tests using AI to identify elements and allow QA or whoever is doing the testing to move even faster. Whoever is doing the testing piece is kind of key, because for teams that don't have QA doing their testing for them, when developers are doing their own end-to-end testing, having a tool that can allow you to very quickly create automated tests that you can also reliably count on to play those tests back without throwing errors after simple changes are made could be super valuable. Allows developers to do their own testing and just move a lot faster. The same things that everyone's trying to do, get new features out faster and faster without having to worry about that testing bottleneck. So I'm already about done, Blake. You ready to show it? Can we show it? Do we have internet? I don't have 15 more minutes. We're going to do Q&A for 15 minutes after. So that's what we're here for. We're essentially here to show you a Testim solution, the Testim mobile solution, to allow you to very quickly create automated mobile tests, and then showing you how our AI is able to recognize elements on the page when you, or in the app, when you play that test back. You all ready? I mean, I can say the exact same thing and show the slides if everyone wants that. You guys want me to do that? All right.
All right, hey everyone, thanks so much for joining. So basically what I'm going to be showing you today is Testim Mobile. So this is kind of an alternative to something like Appium or one of our many competitors out there. But essentially, it's a low-code, no-code solution to allow you to record, play back your tests, and then built in is going to be machine learning to essentially adapt to the updates for your application. So we have a nice dashboard built in, so whenever you're running your test, you want feedback. Of course, you're going to have your dashboard here to show you some passes, your failures. It's going to have all of your failures aggregated here, so if you want to very quickly create an issue in Jira, you can do that. There's a pretty nice integration with that. From there, we have our editor, assuming it loads. Fingers crossed the internet issue is mostly resolved. So we come over here, and there's going to be a record button. So in order to use this, what we're going to do is we're going to upload our application. So we have an app library in here. You upload your APK or your IPA file, depending if it's Android or iOS. You come in, and then you begin recording. So we hit start recording. We hope that the internet is good. It is, maybe. We come in and we select the grid. So we do provide a virtual grid in this. So basically, you can also connect to Sauce Labs. You can connect to Browser Stack if you're using some other third-party grid. But we do provide one in here that has a variety of devices and versions of your operating systems. So you'll come in, you'll pick that, and then you'll come to your app library where you've uploaded this. And you can pick your application that you want to begin authoring on. So I'm going to pick my demo application version 4. We hope that it launches. It doesn't, so I might need to do a refresh because, again, lots of issues right now. So sorry about that.
It's not your fault, Blake.
You're right, it's not my fault, Eric. All right, so we'll come in. We'll try that one more time. Hope that it works. And there we go. All right, so basically now it's going to pull a device from our grid. It's going to spin this up. It's then going to load our application onto the device. And once that's done, we're able to begin interacting with the application as we would normally. So it's going to record those steps, and then you can data drive these tests. So if you have like data sheets that you want to upload into this to pull from to data drive them, you can do that. You can link with your test management system. So if you're using like X-Ray, or if you were using Qtest or some test management platform, you can tie your tests into that. But from here, I'll go in, I will begin interacting with the application. So I'll log in. We'll say, in this case, like I'm John. And again, internet is a little rough. It is quite dependent on the speed of the internet working. And we'll go through like as a normal user would, and we'll begin interacting again, pressing the buttons, entering the text. Yeah, again, it's kind of reliant on the internet actually doing what it needs to do. So we will press it again. There we go. And I'll delete that since it captured that unnecessarily. But from here, then I'll begin going through my demo application, adding like pet food to my cart, checking out. We do have a ton of like built-in actions. So again, like things that you would expect in Appium that you can do. So validations, extracting text, built-in email inbox. If you need to do any kind of email activations for your mobile accounts, you can do that. And yeah, this internet is certainly a little rough for a live demo. Come in, so maybe I want to extract the text. I can come in here, extract that, and say, okay, we want to do this dynamically, of course. Like we know that prices may change, things like that. So come in and we'll say, okay, call this like total cost instead of what it currently is, which is value by default. Proceed. Maybe we want to then validate against what we just extracted on the previous page. So we'll come in and we'll say, okay, I want to validate this. I want to point click to what I want to validate. And since this is currently hard-coded, I would then want to replace this with our total cost variable. From there, we also have something called shared groups. So in general, you're going to want to be able to have reusable components that you might be able to use in multiple different test cases. So again, if you were using Appium, you would probably just like copy over the code or the library that you're using. In this case, we would go to our shared steps, payment info screen. I don't feel like filling this out every single time I author this test. So I would come in here and say, okay, we have all these already filled out. Let me just go ahead and add that to this test. Now you can do that with things that you're doing over and over again, like logins, logouts, payment screens like this one, really anything that you're doing over and over. If you were doing some custom code in this as well, you would have access to turn that into a shared group so that everyone on your team can access that. So maybe you have some people that are more experienced with code, some people that aren't, or again, just more complex flows that you're doing that you will have to reuse. You can share that with the rest of your team so they aren't reauthoring that over and over. From there, we have our information pulled. So we take a look. What sets us apart from like most other solutions is that we have something called our smart locators. So again, you're going to see here that we can go to our fallback locators, like where we're using our text, our ID, class, things that you would traditionally use with Appium to locate an element. But we also have machine learning locators. So in this case, what it's doing is it's taking a look at the structure of the application, and from there, it is going to be able to adjust it with its AI. So whenever you make changes to the application, like let's say you change the classes, you change the IDs, you change like what text is associated with it, if there are changes, generally it's going to break your traditional tests that you write, but in this case, this is going to allow you to automatically adjust for those changes. So in this case, like let's say I want to jump over to a new version of the application, so I'll go to version 5 of this. In this case, most of this works. There are some changes on our login page. This element in particular I know is quite different, so what I'm going to do here is actually drop my threshold level, so you can set the level of confidence that you need for it to be the same element. So in this case it's medium. I'm going to set it to low just because there are, again, quite a few changes. And in that case, I'm going to say, okay, we're going to play this back, and we're going to have now a dark theme to our application. So I'll come in, I'll save this, we'll just call this droidcon. I will refresh this, make sure we're good, and we should be able to play this back. Pick the device. It will now launch this device again, load the new version of the application onto it, and you'll see like a new theme with some different text and different classes within that element for this to play back. So again, give it a second. The internet in here is struggling a little bit. And so yeah, so you can see here like our application has changed. Like we now have a dark theme. Our sign in to begin button now says log in. It's a gradient. It's going to take a little bit of time to like be like, okay, what's going on here? And then it's going to go through because it realizes that this is the same element that we were interacting with. So still able to go through this test flow, still able to successfully complete and adapt as your application changes. And you'll see again, it's going through that group that I added that I didn't actually author just now, but it does have that information already, so it is able to run through that scenario. So generally what you're going to want to do is also add this to your CI pipeline. You're going to want to be able to automate this. So of course you can use like an API to upload like the newest build of your application, add this to your pipeline and say, okay, I want to upload this APK, change the version out, and then run my suite of tests, regression, smoke tests, whatever the case may be, to make sure that there's no breaks in your test and get the feedback from that. So we would save it. It would go into our application test library. You can then see, you can add this to folder structures. You can place these in suites and plans. You can assign them labels depending on how you want to structure these. You'll notice that there are also test statuses. So you do have control over whether a test is going to run based on if it is in a CI pipeline. If it passes, it could pass your build. If it fails, it could fail your build. So you will have control based on the status of your test that you place this in. And then you'll also have quarantine, which of course just wouldn't run it. From there, you're also going to have access to your recent executions that you can see, your results. You can see your recent test runs at an individual level. You can use the built-in scheduler. So if you wanted to run these overnight, you can play these overnight and say, okay, I'm going to play these, I don't know, Sunday through Thursday, so that when I come in the next morning, I'm going to have all my results, see my dashboard, and say, okay, what went wrong with these tests if there were issues. We do also, again, have the device grid that's kind of built into the platform. So if you want to pull devices to use, you're able to do that. So you can see we have a variety of galaxies, pixels to choose from, different versions of operating systems. And then if you wanted to use something like Browser Stack, Sauce Labs, you can actually, of course, do that as well. You can go to your configurations. You can say, okay, I want to integrate with Browser Stack, and this is like what you would have accessible via Browser Stack to run your tests on. So Nice thing is that you can play the same test back on all these different devices. Now, if there are system level permissions that you're interacting with, you might have to make some adjustments for those and say, if I'm running this on a Pixel, like I want to make sure that I interact with the correct pop-up information, things like that. But in general, they are pretty resilient tests, and they are going to be transferable between devices, at least for your application's portion. And then if you want to, again, integrate with a CI, like we do integrate with pretty much any CI, we do have some pre-built configurations here. So like, let's say you wanted to integrate with GitHub Actions, it'll generate a nice snippet for you, and then you can choose whether you want to run this based on the suite, the specific test, the plan, whatever this may be a part of, and you would be able to pick your grid that you want to run this on. So again, Browser Stack, Sauce Labs, Headspin, as well as the one that comes with the platform. If you're running in web, so we do also support web, we support Salesforce. If you're doing that, you can also spin up your own custom Selenium grid. Mobile, not so much. We are limited to what we have access to. But you can also run with local physical devices as well. So like if you had like a specific device that you wanted to tether to your machine, you're also able to install the Tricentis mobile agent. You can then see physical devices that are actually attached to your machine or local emulators, simulators that are spun up on your device. So you'd be able to come in, you would be able to pick those devices, author on them, play them back. But in general, you would, of course, want to run these on the grid so that you can kind of leave this as a set it and forget it until you have an issue. Let's see. Once you have run your test, you'll get feedback, as I mentioned earlier. But if you wanted to go in, you wanted to look at your failure, why it failed. In this case, the element was not found, so maybe there was a test design error or something like that. We can come in, we can tag our test failure. This would open up Jira, so we do have multiple platforms that we support. I believe we do Trello, GitHub Issues, Jira, and you can then tag these issues. So like we'll say bug in the application, give it a description. So in this case, like, I don't know, we'll say bad test design in this case, create the issue, select our project that will automatically populate, and then if you have like any kind of custom fields, it can pull those in as well, publish, and then you will have a very quick and easy test defect made within your test, within your defect tracking system. So in this case, like we're gonna have steps to reproduce, attachments, so screenshot comparisons whenever you have an issue to see what exactly went wrong, and then you'll have a link back to that specific result. If you wanna pass this along to, if you are not the developer, if you are specifically QA, you can come in, pass this to your developer, and show them what went wrong within your test. Any questions on any of that? I think it's relatively straightforward, record and playback, and then the machine learning is probably the most unique to this platform in terms of what it does to adapt to your changes within your application. Yeah, so essentially there is proprietary machine learning. So basically, the way the web one works, so web would do, like it would take a look at the entire DOM structure. If there are changes to the specific attributes, it's going to essentially give a confidence interval that you can select, and then it's going to, over time, as you get successful runs, it's going to then update those. You'll get a nice little like AI notification saying, hey, this has been updated. And then it's going to replace those if you allow it to. You can, of course, disable that and say, I don't want this to be updated by AI. But generally, one of the biggest bottlenecks in testing is going to be maintenance. So you would generally want to allow it to maintain and update your tests for you. Within mobile, again, machine learning, it is less exposed to the user. There are a lot of mobile frameworks that are very complex. But essentially you can set your threshold of like what you're going to allow for a tolerance. It would use those in general same fallback locators, like so again like the classes, the IDs, and then if there is enough of a match, it would begin updating those over time. All right, Eric, your next 15 minutes right here.
All right. So, now, so I would say that one of the things that we hear that the developers really like is being able to just really quickly figure out what went wrong, like and go like straight to it, right? So getting that link, straight back to the test where you can see the screenshots, instead of having to, communicate with your QA and having them try to like describe to you like where it is, what went wrong, or trying to decipher their bug ticket, whatever it is, just being able to go straight there, right? And it's all time savings, right? So that's the idea, is just like saving developers time and trying to make things as easy as possible. I would say that like everything that we do, like everything that the tool is designed to do, has some sort of like time saving component to it. I would say that it's certainly not perfect, especially as far as like mobile goes. Like the one problem that everyone's trying to solve, the one challenge that everyone's trying to solve is like locating the elements, right? To his point, I would say that the web is like extremely resilient. You can make pretty drastic changes on the websites, and Testim will still recognize that. They're still working on the mobile side. Like I do think that the mobile tests are probably more brittle than we would like them to be. If we're talking to developers that have QA dealing with that, not as much of a problem for you. I would just lean on like, hey, look how easy it is to like find a bug when QA tells you about something. For the people actually responsible for like managing the tests, though, like there is more maintenance than we would like. I mean, it is getting better over time, but I don't know. I also don't know anything about testing. I'm just a big old dumb AE, so don't listen to me, I guess. Would you agree with what I just said, though? Okay.
The last part in particular, yes.
Yeah. I'm sorry?
Work on obfuscated APK?
Sorry, what was that?
Obfuscated APK. So we usually obfuscate our code before,
Yeah, so it doesn't need any access to the code. That's totally fine. You just upload your APK and begin interacting with, and it will automatically begin detecting the attributes of the elements. Yes. Yeah.
What would be the process of migrating your existing tests? Let's say if you are using APM Espresso to this platform,
Yeah.
how would that work?
Good question. So we do get that quite a bit. In general, we would say continue running those, begin doing in-sprint testing, and then over time, as your Appium tests begin breaking, migrate those over, because again, they would be, if you make any kind of update, your Appium tests are probably going to begin breaking quite quickly. If you do those regularly, you know that they are quite brittle, and I would say roughly 30% of testers' time is probably spent just maintaining them as opposed to authoring new tests. But since you can create tests so quickly, I would say in-sprint testing is probably the best move for people that have a large catalog of tests already. Now, in general, I would say importing is not great, and a lot of our competitors have also tried this, I think, and seen little success in terms of migration. And that's primarily because of the way that the AI resilience is built in. Like, it needs to actually interact with this element, track it, and then build information about it. So generally, we see importing doesn't work as well as most people that would actually want to migrate would like. So we don't allow it. We just suggest in-sprint testing in this case. All right. I know, ended a little early, but